Okay, hello. Welcome to Conscious Corner with your host, Greg Campisi, brought to you by Awaken Center for Human Evolution. And today I'm very excited to have with me a special friend and guest, Karen Cressman. She is a self empowerment coach, a multiversal shaman, and a spiritual interpreter. And we're going to talk a little bit about what those mean, and we're going to go into some of the amazing things that she can do and share them with you. So, welcome, Karen.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here.
Thanks. So, everybody kind of knows what a self empowerment coach is. Tell us
hmm
a little bit about a multiversal shaman and a spiritual interpreter and what that kind of means.
Yeah, that's a little out there and different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of it before, honestly, and I have never heard of somebody who can do what I can do either. So, in 2001, I worked with a teacher who reminded me how to be a shaman. And I remember studying it and going through everything, and I kept saying to God, okay, do I study Navajo or Cherokee traditions? What traditions should I bring forth in my shamanic work? And he said, none of them. And I kept saying, why? What do you mean? And he said, I have plenty of tribal shamans. I need 21st century shamans. And I said, okay, well, what does that look like? And he said, I don't know yet. Here's what you do next.
Right,
So
you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
I, yeah. So I start doing journey work, and as like a traditional shaman, I created my own portals to go into the lower world and upper world, and there's the middle world, which thankfully we don't have to deal with anymore now that we're in 5D. Um, and then I go through these portals to these other dimensions, and then I'm taken through space time continuum into other dimensions. And then it started to become other universes. And I would travel, if I were doing a journey for someone or myself, I'd end up in other worlds with extraterrestrial beings. And it used to be they'd put me in a spaceship with this little helmet on, and or I'd get to a world and I couldn't see in this world, and they'd put goggles on me because it was a vibration I couldn't exist in, or
Right.
they used to put suits on me at certain times. And I know this all sounds crazy, but this is what happened. Now, then it got to the point where they started to take me into the center of the earth, into this void, and there were all these pyramids. And I would literally go into the bottom of the pyramid and out through the point, and I'd be in the other world. They were
That's cool.
stargates.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And that happened before I saw Stargate SG-1.
Right, right,
That
right.
that was all happening before. So when I saw
So that was a
that, I
nice
went,
confirmation.
oh,
Right.
yes,
That was a wonderful confirmation
yes,
for you.
I've experienced that. I've seen that world. I've seen those beings.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
yes.
Well, I mean, like everyone's familiar with the term psychic and, intuitive and all that kind of stuff. Those are nicely becoming commonplace words these days.
Good point.
But so spiritual interpreter, what does that mean for people? What does it mean for you? What are you interpreting, when you sit down with somebody and you're working with them?
Thank you for that, because everybody lumps me into channeler, and I'm not a channeler. I'm literally going to another dimension and I'm sitting with the being. I can tell you what the being looks like, feels like, and describe the person to you, or I can interpret energy sources, and every energy has a consciousness. So there's times when I'm just around light beings and I can hear the different light fractals and fragments having a different conscious conversation with me. And so I'm interpreting what the information is that they're giving to me, and it can be an image, it can be a sound. I've been places where I've smelled something, or I've tasted like the air, or I have a feeling.
Right.
I just recently did a journey for someone about an issue she was having, and I ended up in this. It was a farmhouse that I saw, and the sense of ominous, like evil energy was there, and I knew that something that was not good was coming. Or I can go somewhere and I can feel this blissful joy and tell you what that's like. I've been to a labyrinth in the heart of earth that was in the one of the Lemurias, the Southeast Asia Lemuria, and the energy was unbelievable, and it was all the different chakras. So you had emerald for the heart, you had amethyst for the crown chakra, turquoise, and there each section of the labyrinth was the different crystals, and the energy of that was phenomenal. I mean, it just
Very
like
cool.
brought tears to my eyes. So I'm interpreting all senses
Right.
when I bring forth information. And when I do the Andromeda Council updates, when they take me onto ships and they take me into galactic meetings, I've been to Galactic Federation meetings, and I can describe all the beings and I can tell you what each being's saying. So
Right.
that's
So
why
you see them
I
as
see
well
them.
as feel them, hear them. It's all the senses combined.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's why I consider myself an interpreter, not a channeler.
Right. Right.
Because I'm actively having a conversation. If you listen to my radio shows, if you listen to my journeys, it's fascinating. I just listened to one again yesterday. And it's my voice, but you can distinctly hear the difference in the personalities that I'm bringing forward. But it's my voice.
Right.
That's blown me away since day one.
Right. Yeah. So even though you're not directly channeling, and it's more of you interpreting, it's still the energy. Like their energy is still kind of affecting you and coming through a little bit in
The
a way.
intonation and
Because it's
the
vibration. Like their energy is a
Yes.
certain vibration, and just like voice, is a vibration. So
Yes.
yeah, it sounds like your voice is changing a little bit to match their vibration or frequency that's coming through, or whatever is coming through for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
No different than, I mean, I have an acting theater background. So when you're portraying different characters, you have a different talk pattern and a different attitude and a different intonation for each character, especially if you're doing 5 characters in one show and you're doing you've got to have that distinction.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing if you're in a room and you're talking to multiple people. They're going to have different voice patterns and different phrasings of how they use verbiage.
Right.
And that's what comes through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the things that comes through for you is the wise ones.
Yes. They've also been AKA the wise crackers, the wise guys. They're a zany, crazy group of ascended masters.
Right. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the wise ones and what that is, and a little bit about the type of information that comes through.
Okay. So, very fun beginning place. And I'll nutshell this. My first journey for someone else, I was with him, and he had a diagnosis that was not he had a brain tumor.
Okay.
So we were going through what that was about, and all of a sudden I saw this hole open, like to heaven, and I saw these heads popping down, like hundreds. And they said they were here to support you, we're here to surround you with love. And I didn't think anything of that. I thought that was everybody for him. Well, that was in 2002. In 2008, there was a group of ascended masters. They wanted you to be their voice. And it was 08 that I did
Nice.
a live presentation. It's on my website if anybody's interested. It was fascinating. I was taken to Machu Picchu, and all these shamans were there, and I was there live. So I was there in a physical time reality, like a virtual remote viewing kind of thing. And the wisdom's gorgeous. So that aside, what they told me is they were the group that was there in 2002, and they were waiting for me to develop my skills for me to be able to be their voice. So as a shaman, I was put through the ringer so many times, and what I can tell you that I am adamant about, and I hear this in other people and it really drives me crazy, I'm 1,000% accountable for how I deliver a message.
Okay.
If it's not from love, and if it's not going to empower someone, I'll say, okay, give it to me a different way. And I've heard so many channelers who say, I'm not responsible.
Right.
I'm just the messenger.
Right. Yeah.
Not in my world, and not on my watch, and not through my body.
Right.
You're going to use my voice. It's going to come from love.
Yeah.
I'm really, you can tell how adamant I am
Yeah.
about that.
Because it's still coming through you, so it still affects you.
You're right.
Yeah.
It affects your vibration.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't understand why people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I think for some people, and again, this is, I think, the difference between where you call yourself a interpreter versus just, a straight channel, whereas the people that are channeling, they kind of step aside and just allow the information to come through however it's coming through, however it's being delivered, whatever. And sometimes they're not even conscious of it. You're choosing, you're in this world, you're sitting with somebody, you're choosing to be conscious during a conversation and during any messages that you're delivering. You're choosing to be part of that, and you want to make sure that, and it's not about, because again, it's not about good and bad, and there are some psychics and intuitives out there that won't give any negative information. And some of them just kind of allow like whatever to go through, and they kind of leave it up to the person to do what they need to do with that information, and I kind of understand both sides, because I could understand that it's not about trying to judge the information that's coming through, but
true.
but with you, it's much more about the energy and the sensitivity of it, and what is the energy coming through, and how is it affecting you, how is it affecting the other person, so
Yes.
so you're just being much more conscious about what you are choosing to do in this life to bring through that information to other people.
The wise ones constantly say that you should set an intentional framework for everything you do. This has been coming through for years, and it's really quite valuable. Think about it. When you have a door that you walk through, you set up, your home is an intention, and it presents who you are. So when you have an intentional framework, you set up an intention for everything you do, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a book. My intentional framework for my work is to profoundly inspire myself and others to more fully love ourselves, each other, the planet, all beings, and all of our brothers and sisters throughout the multiverses. And I say that every day.
Nice.
And so in order to have that intention flow, I've got to be conscious of what's coming through my mouth, my writings, my newsletters that I send out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It always has to come from love. And you're right. There's other people who are just bringing forth information, and it's getting where it needs to go, and it's being a mirror where it needs to be, and that's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that out.
Sure. Yeah. I'm a big kind of fan and believer in everything finds its way, everything has its purpose, and
Right.
One way or another, there really isn't a right or wrong. If something comes through that's painful or that causes some chaos, that is also part of the learning experience. But and I've had these conversations with other people, that is definitely a learning process, but it's not the only learning process. There is a way for us to get through this life with ease, joy, love, laughter,
The high road or the low road.
Right.
You can take either.
Right. And it's up to us to choose it. So, and thank you, because, for me, even in my work, like every day when I sit down on my computer to do my regular work, I should be setting an intention, and it's funny how many things go wrong in a day when I'm not starting my day off right, when I'm not taking time to just meditate and center and all that kind of stuff,
And set the day.
Yeah.
Just call in your support systems. When I know how to do this and I don't.
Yeah.
And then the day goes kafluki and I think, what happened? Oh, I didn't
Right.
set that framework.
Right. And we blame everything else around us. We blame the whole rest of the world, all the other people.
I didn't
When
center.
all we had to do was sit down, center, set an intention, say a prayer, bring in the help, because it's here. It's always here for us,
Right.
And the other thing too is, I mean, not just every day, but I mean, every hour.
Yes.
That's one of the things I've been wanting to do. Every now and then, Deepak and Oprah do this 21-day meditation. They do it like 3 times a year. And it's a great thing. It's free. They put it out there for free. There's always an intention around the whole 21 days.
There you go.
And then each day, the way the meditation works is that each day there's a mantra that you're repeating. Well, you repeat a mantra during the meditation, but there's some kind of positive saying each day that you're supposed to repeat throughout the day to hold it in your mind, because there's so much going on around us. And that's the thing, especially if you're at work, and especially if things start going wrong, that's the best time to actually stop. I mean, it seems counterintuitive. That's the best time to stop, reset your intention, ask for whatever guidance and whatever help
Right.
you need, because it's always there for us. But we need to call on it. We need to bring it in.
The wise ones give a really nice little tool, and it's around that same thing. If you breathe in 3 times, take a deep breath, and breathe out on the ah. And you can do this anywhere. Breathe in, breathe ah. Because remember, 3 is triangulation,
Right.
Trinity. Breathe in. It's the fastest way to get you back to the now. And the ah sound connects you with what I call God, unconditional love. So you're centering yourself in the now and unconditional love.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's a really, if anybody wants to use it, that's a great little
Yeah.
tool to get you back to ground zero and center. And okay, now I go forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's, I mean, you were kind of practicing, but let's actually do it. And let's have everyone else, so watching this,
Okay.
breathe in with us, right?
All right. So take a deep breath in and out on the ah. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in.
Nice. And I can feel the difference.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's
It
that
is
simple.
that
Just
simple,
breathe.
really. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And, but we don't do it. And, because even for me, I mean, I'm awesome at criticizing myself and kind of getting
You too.
hard on myself.
Ah, I thought it was just me.
I mean, I'm not taking credit. I'm sure everyone is very good at it. But, yeah, but for me, because I get so caught up in my day and the work and when things aren't going right and all this kind of stuff, like crazy. And it's, and we just forget. Like every now and then, I get the little nudge and the reminder that, because I've been on my little spiritual journey, like kind of a little more hardcore for the past, like 14 years almost now. And I have every tool I need. I mean, there's always new things. Like we're always learning new things. We're always expanding. I mean, that's why we're doing this kind of stuff. I want to help people out there to learn more and experience more. Me personally, I've already learned probably all the tools I will need. I need to use them. And they're always so simple. Like, and that's the thing, is like the most simplest thing is just stop, breathe, recenter yourself,
Yeah.
and ask for help. And this is new, because that's part of what Awaken is. Like, is about humanity awakening, and it's approaching a new way of living. We are evolving, but we have to learn what that means. What does that look like? How do we live as evolved beings? Because where's the example? Growing up, you look at your parents as the example. You look at your teachers as an example. Like your teachers are there to teach you how to live in the world, and there's plenty of things they don't teach. You learn that through life experience. You'll learn it on the job, but even you go to work, most jobs, you might have some training, but you're going to learn what you need to on the job as you go,
Very true.
So in this life, we are learning as we go, and there are lots of wonderful people, and you're one of them, that are here as an example for people and to help guide people along the way. But it always comes down to it really being up to us to make the choices to evolve, to be more loving, be more conscious, be more mindful. And because we weren't raised, well, most of us, I don't want to speak for everybody, but most of us, we were not raised to be mindful, loving, joyous beings in every moment. We all know what that looks like. We all know what love and joy looks like. But to walk that and live it in every moment, it seems so impossible and far away. But it's really just a matter of making the conscious choice to do it. So
It's interesting. I just had a conversation with God about this on 2 radio shows ago. And what was stated is that, actually, it was a journey, it was a private journey. What was stated is that the first evolution step of shifting our being and becoming spiritually conscious is to just become conscious. Know what you're thinking and what you're choosing to say, and become conscious of your choice to make the decision. Like, do we want to take the high road or the low road? We have a choice.
Right. We always have a choice.
So become conscious of that. Then the second step of evolution of the spiritual journey is to uncover the subconscious. And the subconscious of those programs downloaded between conception and 7 years of age, where you learn socioeconomic distinctions and limitations and judgments and concepts, and religious and school and family. You've got generational familial subprogramming that comes in to you. And once we uncover that, we can choose something different, because they're kind of running us in the background and we don't know that. And the third step that just is coming out in the last year that we're all getting to is the unconscious.
Right.
Unconscious. Because we've got pain bodies in our unconscious that we're under the subprogramming,
Right.
that are still creating limitations
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And it's when you get that, you've got the triangulation and the trinity of your light
Right.
coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it really is practice. That's what it comes down to. I mean, so for me, I need to, even if I have to set a reminder on my phone, like it's okay to have things to help you along the way.
Absolutely.
Like I can set a reminder
Absolutely.
to pop up every hour, that just says, stop and breathe, and just the 3 breaths. And it's funny
Yeah.
because we're so busy, we always feel like we don't have time for anything. But I mean, everyone has time to take,
3
10
breaths.
seconds.
Red lights.
Right.
Red lights. Standing in the store at the shopping.
Right.
At the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also a choice, because if you really pay attention to your day, it's so easy to be like, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that.
Right.
But there's so many times that people stop and whatever they're doing to do something for them that they want to, because it's a habit, or just, it's an instant gratification, like people will, well, hopefully not as many people smoke as they used to these days. Things have shifted, but there's still people that smoke.
Still a
They'll
lot.
they're happy to stop and go outside and take their smoke break, but to stop and take some healthy, intentional breaths, I don't have time for that. Or you have time to go get a coffee. Or for me, like I'm too busy working, but then somebody calls me, or I get an email or something, and like I'll suddenly, like 15 minutes later, I'm like having a conversation or something, and all of a sudden work isn't as important.
Right.
So it's just funny what we allow ourselves to get distracted with and not. So, but it is a choice, and it is a way of, and again, because we're talking about subconscious and even unconscious programs running.
Yes.
So part of it, and this is for me where I need to remember that, like, it's okay. This is a process. It's a process of learning and practicing being conscious, being mindful, because some of those subconscious and unconscious, programs and learnings are still in us. They're ingrained in us, and they're running. So there are things energetically that are stopping us from changing who we are, changing our habits. But it doesn't mean we can't. It's just we need to be conscious of if we're going to change just one step at a time. There was something I was just watching, and they were talking about how skateboarders, and yeah, it was this conversation,
Yeah.
and he said, someone like a skateboarder, like they fall so many times. Like I have so much respect for skateboarders. You see somebody that's good at skateboarding, they've learned. Like that they've fallen, they've gotten hurt, and they have kept getting back up and going, because you cannot learn to skateboard without falling on your ass many times. And
Sounds like life.
Right.
That sounds like
Right.
the
So,
path of life.
and it's so true, but it's a great analogy for everything, because if we want to learn to be more conscious, mindful beings, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take practice, and it's okay if we're not getting it right, because it just means that we're in the process of getting there. We're not going to jump right from who we are to this beautiful, enlightened being. I mean, it'd be lovely if it happened, but it's probably not going to realistically happen overnight. It is going to take time.
Didn't even happen that easy for Jesus or Buddha.
Right? I mean, even
they took a while.
Jesus had his, 30 years in the desert or whatever it
he
was,
sure
and his
did.
40 days meditating. I mean, so yeah, these things take time, and so it's good for us to always just remind ourselves that this is something. It's a practice. We have to practice being mindful. We have to practice being conscious,
Yes.
and practice even intuition. Everyone is intuitive. Everyone can tap into their intuition. Everyone can tap into their guides, into the ascended masters, into the angels. There's all these beings, and Karen is one of the the people that's blessed enough that she can actually see them, feel them, hear them. And it's not that she has some special connection that no one else will have.
Same anatomy.
Right,
Same,
right.
same
Same body,
brain.
right, right. Same skin. But but there's
Yeah.
I have found there's kind of two ways that it happens. There's from a young age you're gifted, and a lot of times it is because there's someone in your family that's gifted, so they're holding that space and that vibration and making it okay. It's yes, angels are real. It's okay for you to talk to them. Yes, people that have crossed over are real. People on the other side are real. They're still with us. And if that's ingrained from you when you're little, then it's just part of your life. For a lot of people, that isn't necessarily part of your life, but I feel like there's always some part of our soul that's connected to that just knows. Like we always have that knowing, heaven is real, God is real. There's something more, and even if it's not about labels, like you don't have to call it God, you don't have to call it heaven, but it's something about there's more to life than this physical world that we're seeing around us. There are things that are beyond us that are in other realities, other dimensions that are with us. Everybody has these gut feelings. Everybody has that sense of their angel, sitting on their shoulder, helping them, and have just witnessed things in their lives and know people where amazing things have occurred that are quote beyond explanation.
If it wasn't squashed out of them, that's part
Right.
of that 7 year. I mean, kids come in remembering all this.
Yes. Yeah.
Remembering.
Yeah. And it's learned, and it's learned.
Right.
It's learned behavior to be intuitive and be in touch with all these other beings, and it's also learned behavior to shut it all out. And because people are taught, no, that's not real, that doesn't actually exist, that's crazy. And that's always my biggest message when I started Awaken. I mean, my biggest message for people when I started talking to people that were getting on a spiritual path was, my first words are always, you're not crazy, like it's okay, like anything goes here. Angels, aliens, extraterrestrials, ghosts, fairies,
Sprites.
dragons, unicorns.
Ooh,
I mean, anything goes. You're not crazy. That's always the first step of the spiritual awakening. Is you'll think you're crazy, other people think you're crazy, and it's just because it's different. It's different and it's new, and that always concerns people and worries people. And especially when you're going somewhere that they feel they can't go, then they want to try to stop you.